There's a type of woman. She looks calm, strong, composed. But inside, something never healed. The problem isn't her present. It's a past that was never processed, never understood, never given a voice. A childhood filled with silence, with delayed emotions, with pain that had no place to go. Slowly became the way she thinks, the way she feels, the way she lives. In this video, you're not going to see a woman the way people usually describe her. You're going to see what happens when a woman is shaped by childhood trauma. You'll understand why she says I'm fine, so when she's not, why she disconnects, why she explodes, why she feels everything, but too late. And more importantly, you'll realize these patterns aren't weakness. They are intelligent survival responses, built in an unsafe world. If you truly understand this, you will never see yourself, or any woman, the same way again. Stay until the end, because what you're about to discover might explain parts of you you've never been able to put into words. Before we dive in, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. She says yes, even when something inside her hesitates. Not because she agrees, but because, in that exact moment, she doesn't fully feel what's happening. Hours later, sometimes days later, the emotion arrives. Clear, sharp, unavoidable. And suddenly, a simple interaction turns into a wave of anger, or sadness, or quiet disappointment. This is not confusion. This is what happens when the mind learns, very early on, that feeling in real time was not always safe. So it delays. It protects first and processes later. And once this pattern is wired in childhood, it doesn't disappear with age. It evolves. She becomes the woman who seems calm in the moment, but carries emotional storms that arrive on a delay. Now something else begins to make sense. The urgency, the constant internal pressure. She walks fast, talks fast, decides fast, even in moments that don't require it, even in calm environments. There is this invisible sense that something must be handled immediately, as if life is always one step away from going wrong. This is not ambition. This is a nervous system that grew up around unpredictability. When a child learns that mistakes lead to consequences, that silence can turn into conflict, that peace is temporary, they don't learn how to relax. They learn how to anticipate, and anticipation becomes urgency. So even when her life becomes stable, her body doesn't believe it yet. Then comes the quiet layer, the one almost no one notices, a kind of emotional background noise, not loud enough to alarm, but constant enough to shape everything. She functions, she smiles, she shows up, but something feels muted, disconnected, not fully alive. This is where many women don't even realize they're carrying something, because it doesn't feel like sadness in the dramatic sense. It feels like normal, and that's what makes it dangerous. When a child grows up without emotional validation, without being seen, heard, or guided through feelings, the mind adapts by lowering the intensity, not because the pain disappears, but because it becomes familiar, and familiarity often disguises itself as identity. There's also a hidden relationship with exhaustion. Being tired doesn't just feel like fatigue. It feels like failure, like something is slipping, like she's falling behind. So she pushes through it, again and again, because somewhere deep inside, rest was never modeled as safe. It may have been associated with neglect, with loneliness, with moments where no one was there. So now, slowing down doesn't feel peaceful. It feels uncomfortable, almost threatening. Then there's the identity shift. Put her in different environments, and she adapts effortlessly. Different tone, different energy. different version. At first, it looks like social intelligence, and in many ways, it is. But underneath it, there's a missing anchor, because identity was never built in a space that allowed authenticity. It was built in response to others, to expectations, to moods, to survival. So she becomes what is needed, but rarely gets to ask what is true. And when attention is placed directly on her, something else happens. A subtle disconnection. Her thoughts blur. Her presence fades. Her words feel distant. This is not simply nervousness. This is a learned response. Because attention, at some point in her early life, was linked with pressure, with criticism, with being examined or corrected. So now, even neutral attention feels like exposure. There's also a peculiar way she tells her story. She laughs, while describing things that should have been taken seriously. Moments of neglect, confusion, even pain, delivered with humor, almost casually, not because it was easy, but because humor became a bridge. A way to express without fully feeling, a way to speak without breaking. And while it may seem light on the surface, it often leaves something unresolved underneath. Her emotional expression follows a similar pattern. At times, nothing comes out. No tears, no visible reaction, even in moments where emotion would be expected, and at other times, it's the opposite. An overflow, difficult to contain, difficult to regulate. This contrast isn't instability, it's a system that never learned balance, because emotional safety was never consistent. There's also a quiet belief that follows her into social spaces, a sense that others can somehow see through her, not logically, but emotionally, as if her flaws are visible, as if her history is exposed. This is the imprint of early shame. When a child grows up feeling responsible for things beyond their control, they internalize a sense of defect, and that feeling doesn't ask for evidence. It simply exists. Then come the reactions that seem out of proportion. A small inconvenience, a minor frustration, suddenly feels overwhelming. Not because of the moment itself, but because it touches something deeper, unprocessed, accumulated. This is how the past finds expression, in the present, not directly but sideways. And perhaps one of the most subtle patterns of all, is the waiting to feel ready, waiting to feel strong, waiting for the right time. But the moment never fully arrives, because this pattern was formed in a time where she had no control, where waiting was the only available option. So it continues, quietly delaying change. What makes all of this even more important is that modern psychological research is beginning to map these patterns with remarkable clarity. A large body of work, published in the American Journal of Psychiatry, has shown how early emotional environments shape the brain's threat detection systems, often leading to heightened vigilance and delayed emotional processing in adulthood. And complementary findings from the Journal of Traumatic Stress highlight how unresolved childhood experiences can remain stored not just as memories, but as physiological responses that activate under seemingly unrelated situations. In simple terms, the past doesn't stay in the past. It becomes a lens, a filter, a silent script. But here is the part that changes everything. These patterns are not permanent identities. They are learned responses, and what is learned can be understood, and what is understood can begin to change. Not through force, not through denial, but through awareness, through noticing the moment the delay happens, the moment the urgency rises, the moment the emotion shifts sideways. Because in that moment, something powerful happens. The pattern is no longer unconscious, And once something becomes visible, it begins to lose its control. There is nothing broken here. Only adaptations, only intelligence, expressed in a way that once ensured survival, and now simply needs to be updated. And as this awareness grows, something else begins to emerge. A different kind of presence, less reactive, more grounded, less driven by the past, more aligned with the present. And that is where real change begins. She didn't get louder. She went silent. And that silence? That's when she became dangerous. Because when a woman detaches, you lose her forever. Watch now. How a woman becomes dangerous after emotional detachment. Like the video and subscribe.